All right, welcome back to the CrossFit 184 podcast. We are celebrating 11 years of being open, being an affiliate, and we want to run it back. I want to hear what it was like at the very beginning. We're going to look at some of the struggles, some of the celebrations that we've had as a community, and where we're going for the next decade.
Sweet. So this is going to be, from what I understand, is interview style. So
Interview style,
raw, unedited interview. Ask me anything.
Yeah.
Format.
Yes. Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. So I want to start all the way back at the beginning, which seems like a long time ago, but not. You opened up the gym at the ripe age of 24. 23 years old. And let's paint the picture. Some people who are going to listen to this were right alongside you in the journey, and some people have no idea, like, how it started. So let's bring it back. Where did you first find CrossFit?
I first found CrossFit through my personal trainer, Steve Petroff, who owned one of the original gyms here in Marysville, and he since went to South Carolina, North Carolina. He was my personal trainer when I started in 7th grade all the way through high school and my freshman year of college. I went to him to train for wrestling, so I was big into wrestling. Wrestling was my entire life, and he was my trainer. He did all my workouts. And we did CrossFit-ish stuff from the very beginning. CrossFit wasn't really around then, but we were doing high-intensity training. We were doing lots of circuit training, mixing in cardio and gymnastics into our workouts as well. So I trusted everything he told me to do. And one year when I came home for Christmas break from college, I went to Fit to work out, and Steve's like starting this little cult in the back of Fit. And I said, "Hey man, what's going on back there?" He said, "Oh, that's CrossFit. You should try it out when you're here for winter break." So I started doing that with him instead of just like the traditional weightlifting and training, and then fell in love with it.
What year was that?
Oh boy. Freshman year is probably 2011.
2011. All right.
That's when I really started doing CrossFit.
Great. So you started CrossFit and you then headed off, or you were already in college?
Yep. I was in school.
All right. And how many years had you been in school? So it was just your freshman year?
Just my freshman year, the first winter break I came back. That's when I was introduced.
So you go back to college, obviously, for your second year. And did you continue CrossFit? So
at that point, after I left winter break, went back to school for wrestling, I just started doing the wrestling workouts. And then I found CrossFit.com and started doing the CrossFit workouts in like the Globo gym setting. Nice. So just the old school people like at the 24/7 gym, YMCA, or the college rec center. I was the guy doing like thrusters and kipping pull-ups on like the cable machine.
And everybody's like, what are you doing?
Like, I was that guy for a few years until I started coaching into a CrossFit gym.
Yeah. So when did you first start coaching then?
Man, I should have looked over some notes. I believe it was 2013. So Route 33 CrossFit, I helped open that gym up. I was the head coach for a year and a half or so before I decided I wanted to do my own thing. So I started coaching CrossFit in 2013.
Okay.
And that was really the summer breaks in between school. And so I'd come home from college, coach at a CrossFit gym all summer long. And then when I went back to school, I got hooked up with CrossFit Remix, and I was coaching at Remix for 3 or 4 years through college.
Nice. So your first few years of coaching and at Remix, just because I know you spent probably the most time up there coaching, what did your coaching look like when you were up there? So
when I first started coaching CrossFit, I did 100% of the on-ramp onboarding coaching, which in my opinion, it teaches you how to be a great coach, because you can't really hide behind a group class structure. You're working one-on-one or one on like 3 people, and these 3 people are brand new to CrossFit and not necessarily the best movers and don't really have the coordination. So learning how to cue and correct and coach these people in a small group setting, and you can't just like move on to someone else, really helped develop me as a coach.
Nice. And while you were coaching and alongside wrestling, you really fell in love with CrossFit. Yeah. You wanted to compete, correct?
Yeah. So I started doing competitive CrossFit in probably 2014 or so. I know the summer that Route 33 opened, I was coaching there. I got introduced to the CrossFit Open, and I started training competitively. I started working out at Friendship Friendship Fitness for a while. I went through to Scott Panchak's gym for a little bit and really went deep on CrossFit as a competitive sport.
Well, along the same lines or around the same time, you were still wrestling in college. So paint a little bit of that picture. You were wrestling and you had to stay in college for an extra year due to some injuries. What were you doing during that time, or what did that look like?
Yeah, so I really started to use CrossFit to supplement my training for wrestling, and I had the opportunity to be the captain of my team all through college at Lake Erie. My first year in college was the first year they had a wrestling program. I was very close with my coach. My coach knew that I was deep into CrossFit, and I was coaching CrossFit on the side, so he kind of gave me some reins to make some workouts and write some programming and some strength training for our entire team.
That's really cool. That's awesome. So when did the dream first become alive? So when
did I want to open a gym?
Yeah, I know you wanted to open a gym. When did it turn to CrossFit?
So really when I started with the personal trainer in junior high, when I was in 7th or 8th grade, I really fell in love with health and fitness and working out. You know, I'd work long 12-hour days, irrigation with my dad, and then we would go covered in mud and dirt to the gym, change into our workout clothes, and work out. So I really fell in love with health and fitness from a really young age, and I really knew that's what I wanted to do long term. I thought I wanted to be a personal trainer just like Steve was, because I really had a great relationship with him. He was a great personal trainer, and that's what I wanted to do. And as I got older and older, I got introduced to CrossFit, and I realized that CrossFit gives you an opportunity to open a gym with a lot less like overhead and investment, like low barrier of entry. Right. Was one aspect that drew me into CrossFit. And then also, like, I loved working out next to a whole array of people. So it was really cool at Remix. Like, I was a college D2 wrestler, and I was working out next to 50-year-old men and women and 16-year-old teenagers and a whole slew of people in all walks of life. And I really had great community and camaraderie with those people. And that's what drew me into CrossFit even more.
Nice. So you decided, hey, I'm going to do this thing on my own and take it for the long run. How was it telling the first group of people? Who did you first tell, like, hey, I'm actually going to go through with this. I want to open a gym in Marysville and I need help. Yeah.
So when I helped start Route 33 CrossFit, I was a head coach for a little while. I was like very clear up front. I said, hey, at some point I want to open my own gym. I knew that was in my mind. I was very open about it to everybody around me. I just did not know what that looked like, where that would be, how long it would take me to get there, and where that path would really take me. And then as I get closer and closer to finishing school, I start to realize, oh crap, I need a job. I need a job soon. Coming. So I was studying business and marketing and psychology in school. My 5th year of school, I got into some MBA classes, and I was able to use those Masters of Business classes to develop a hardcore, full thought out business plan and a marketing plan and a marketing strategy, and just build a whole portfolio with my professor at school at Lake Erie College. And that's when it started to become a little bit more real, because I could see the numbers, I could see a path to get there. I knew what I needed to invest. I knew how many coaches I needed to help me coach. I knew how many clients I need to make revenue, make profit, and all that.
All the details.
Right.
So what did the last couple months of college look like for you?
Man, a lot of things I shouldn't have been doing. And so I went to school for marketing and business, but really I went to school to wrestle. And wrestling was while I was at school, and I loved it. And after I finished my 4th year of school, I had a back injury from wrestling. The very beginning of the season, I hurt my back at the gym, actually right before practice. I ended up having 3 epidural shots in my spine, which kept me off the mat for over a year. So there was a period of time I went into my senior year wrestling like pretty confident, pretty excited, pretty ready for the season, and I was expecting big things on the mat that year. And then the first few weeks of season that happens, and I'm in the hospital, I'm taken off the mat, not able to work out, not able to wrestle. And at that point, I went into pretty deep depression, because I had my whole identity wrapped up in this working out and this wrestling and this competing and this achievement, and I wasn't able to do a single thing.
Yeah, that's really hard.
So then I decided, like, I'm gonna take a redshirt year and come back for a fifth season.
Right.
So I came back for my fifth year of college. At that point, I'd finished up pretty much all my undergrad classes. So I took the bare minimum classes that I needed to take to be eligible to wrestle. So
Right.
it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of free time. I worked out a lot. I wrestled a lot. Fast forward to the first month of wrestling for my fifth year, and I have a knee injury or a staph infection in my knee. So I go to practice, and if you've ever seen a bursa sac bust in your knee and it fills up with fluid, and it's pretty common in any combat sport or even like volleyball stuff. And so that happened to my knee. It was super hot, super red to the touch, super sore, and it was getting worse and worse. And maybe on a Wednesday night, I went to the trainer's room and I showed them my knee, and they felt it and they told me what it was, and it was full of fluid. This was a Wednesday. They say our school doctor will be back on Monday. Come back on Monday and we'll drain it. We'll get it cleaned up and it'll be good to go. It's usually no big deal. So that night, it got hotter, it got redder, it got bigger, and it got extremely painful to the point where I wasn't even able to walk because my knee was so swollen and uncomfortable. Tried laying in bed and it was just throbbing with pain. So I decided to go to urgent care. So I went to urgent care up at school up in Cleveland, and they drained my knee there. I think they're going to drain. It's going to be good to go. Back on the mat the next couple of days. So they drain my knee, and then the next morning I get a call and say, "Hey, this is Cleveland Clinic. We pulled samples of your knee last night, and you have to go to emergency surgery today because you have staph infection in your knee."
Oh my goodness.
So I didn't really realize like how serious that was. So I called my parents, who was a few hours away, and like they kind of told me how big of a deal it was, and I drove myself to Cleveland, which was about 35 minutes from school at that point. Checked myself into the emergency room and had surgery later that day. So they removed the whole bursa sac from my knee. By the time they did the surgery on my leg, the veins above my knee and below my knee were starting to turn red from the staph infection starting to spread.
Wow.
And I was in a brace from like my mid thigh all the way down to my shin. So remind you, this was my fifth year of school. Went back just purely to wrestle. I didn't wrestle for like a whole year leading up to this point. Get into the season very confident, bigger, stronger, more mature in wrestling, and then that happened and kind of kept me off the mat for another 6 months.
Wow. Yeah. So we made it through the season though, and you had a great run. But then you realized graduation's coming up. Mm-hmm. So what was it like building out the space? Because it wasn't like, oh, boop, there's our CrossFit gym.
Yeah, right. So that last few months of school, really the last semester of school, so I had built out my whole business plan, and I went to Richwood Bank. I secured a small business loan, and we always laugh looking back because I went in, I presented the whole business plan, and I asked for $53,000 for a business loan. And the bank kind of laughed and said, 53, like why 53? Why not 50 or 55 or 60? Like no one comes in and asks for exactly what I want. I said it's because I did the math and I did the work. I know exactly how much I need. I'm not going to ask for any more than that because this is what I need to start the business.
Right.
So I secured that small business loan to help me get started. And then we had tons of people working on the space. So I get a phone call from my dad when I'm up at school, and it goes something like, "Hey, I found it. I found the space. It's a perfect spot for your gym." And I'm like really hyped up and excited. And I drive home shortly after that to check it out. And I go into a dungeon. It was dim and dark and grimy and greasy. Mm-hmm. And like the lights were flickering. Looks like a haunted movie. I'm like, this is perfect. This is awesome.
This is it. We made it.
Just typical dad and I. So we get the building, we lease it out, and he starts working out right away. Him, my mom, my grandparents, my cousins, my friends, so many people in that building just transforming it into a gym. And as many weekends as I could, I was driving 3 hours back from school on the weekends to build out the space. I mean, we literally built the walls of this place, replaced all the lights, the gas line, and driving back to school and back and forth.
Nice. So you graduate, you come home. What do you remember about opening day? Do you remember anything? Like, do you remember how you felt waking up? How the day went?
Yeah. So I believe our first class started at 5:15 in the morning. I think I woke up about 3 a.m. to make sure I was ready. So I had to drive to our family car dealership before, print out a bunch of waivers because I didn't have all that ready. The night before, I had to drive into Columbus, get the computer all set up. So like we were working on things all the way up literally to the last hour before we opened. And I do remember like the night before we opened, I was standing at the same exact spot I had stood at maybe 6 months before, looking down at this grimy, dingy, dirty dungeon. Mm-hmm. And now I'm standing at that same spot next to my parents, looking down to a fully outfitted gym and space. And that moment was just really surreal and like made me proud, of course, made me grateful for all the help I had along the way, and made me excited.
Yeah. So you get started, the whole month of June was free. Mm-hmm. And then you started memberships really in July. And
so I had 8 members in December, so like 6 months before we opened. So we did something cool called the Early Believers Club, and every now and then I would drive home from school. I would be marketing this place online, and I would get people to buy in before we opened the doors. And those were really our early believers, and really gave us some funding and stuff to get the gym moving early on.
Right. Okay. Shout out to you guys, the early believers. But along the way, you're moving along. It's going really well. I joined a couple weeks into June, and just like an awesome community right off the bat.
Yeah.
It was. And someone specifically stepped forward and really believed in you and said they wanted to invest. What was that like?
Yeah, Jeannie. So Jeannie, many people know Jeannie. So this short, timid, shy Asian lady comes into the gym, still wearing her scrubs from work, and like you never know anything about a person, right, by how they look or how they speak until you really get to know them. Mm-hmm. And at first glance, when this lady comes into the gym, some coaches or some owners would think, man, she's never going to make it. She's not going to fit our community. Like, what's she doing here? And like kind of blow them off or put them in the corner or put them up to the side and ignore them. But I was grateful to learn so much from Ben and Gina and just the upbringing of coaches around me through the last years to like treat everybody like they're the Gold Star member. And that's what I did. So take great care of everybody that walks through your doors. So I brought Jeannie in. She didn't want to touch a barbell at all, so she lifted like a PVC pipe, that kind of thing. And of course, Jeannie, and she's like PR and deadlifts like 200 pounds and doing crazy lifts now.
Oh, so yeah.
She's an amazing lady. She's an angel sent from God. She helped us out with this whole process. And she comes up to me maybe a year or 6 months into her being a member. She said, "Hey, man, I really like helping people." She helps cancer patients, so she has a heart for helping people. I have money I want to invest. I don't want to invest it into the stock market. I want to do something that makes a difference, and I see you making a difference in people's lives every single day. I want to invest and help you out. And at that point, like it makes you step back a little bit because I wasn't really seeking that really from anywhere. I had no like desires or plans to like move into a bigger space or go bigger at all. My original vision was just to have a small garage gym and work out by myself and coach, and like that'd be it.
Yeah.
But it was really cool that somebody saw the work I was putting in, saw the community that we've built, saw the people in the space, and wanted to do something about it.
Yeah, that's incredible. And what did the next steps look like? So at some point you had to either commit or say, no, thank you. Like, so what was the deciding factor that you're like, yeah, maybe this is a thing. Maybe I can do it.
Jeannie pretty much forced me to commit. Like, it seemed like every other week or every other class she was coming in and she said, "Hey, Zev, like I saw this building. What do you think about this? Hey, what do you think about this? Hey, you need more room. You need more space." And
yeah.
At that point, like we had a few coaches. I was working long hours, long days, long weeks. I'm just like, will you just leave me alone for a little bit? But eventually,
I'm treading water.
We went and started looking at a couple buildings. Then we start to realize how full our classes are, and then started thinking about the possibility of owning a space instead of leasing a space, and it started to make a lot more sense.
Yeah. Well, so obviously at some point you walked into this building that we're in now. Mm-hmm. What was your first thought of it? Also a dungeon at some points. It's a big dungeon. But
yeah, I thought it was perfect. It was awesome. Yeah. I mean, my dad found this place just randomly. It wasn't poster listed for sale or for lease anywhere. He was just driving through town and glanced over here and saw Quonset building and the grain bin. Said, "Hey, what's that?" And we have some friends that are real estate agents and reach out to Wimmers, and Wimmers got a hold of the owner and said, "Yeah, actually, like it's going to be for sale," and we jumped on it right away.
Wow. So as we made the transition over, that's kind of where we hit, or what I picture is kind of hitting the first block in the business. So we made the commitment, got the building, secured it, but it started a spiral of a couple hard years.
Really.
And I don't know if I want to jump right to like what was the biggest moment of like where you thought, man, what did we get ourselves into, sort of thing. When you first went to the city, I mean, obviously there's a whole bunch of different things you do. What was like the very first list that you got before you could open the door? Paint that picture. What did it look like?
There's about 100 things on that list. So in my mind, like we get the building in a couple months, we can move in and start classes, right? And
Yeah.
obviously that's not how it works with the city and county and permits. And I was a little naive and ignorant to that fact that like you have to go through a whole process to get this ready. And this place was like a warehouse before. In my mind, it was going to be almost like a warehouse gym when we used it, but we had to rerun a lot of electric. There was no gas, no heat in the building. We had to run gas lines, install heat, install electric. We had to build the walls. We had to insulate the whole thing. We had to insulate the ceiling. We had to pave the entire parking lot and build ADA restrooms, and just the list goes on and on. We have to plant 3 trees. You have to have so much grass area. It can't be this color. It has to be this color. Every single thing that you do at the building or in the property has to go before the design review board. We had people come in speaking against us at the design review board, and it was just everything at once.
A long process. So, and at the same time, it wasn't like the gym closed and you're at the reset where there's no responsibilities. You know,
Right.
You're running classes, you're still running the business, you're paying for your lease over there, the mortgage over here, and it added up.
Yeah.
It added up. And if I think back, I really think one of the big hitters was paving the parking lot. That was kind of one of the really unexpected expenses that you were hit with, and there was no like mercy of doing it pieces at a time.
Yeah.
You know,
we went through everything we can to phase in the parking lot and just do a little bit at a time, and they just had no give because, you know, like they're trying to follow the guidelines and follow the rules and go by the book and not help us out at all. Because there's people going to the county speaking against us and pushing back, and like when you have that in the county, like you have to do things by the book.
Yeah. But I also think this is a great time to remind people, like, although we're a CrossFit gym, there's no like outside support. Like we are a true small business. Like, and so adding those different expenses on becomes a heavy load. But out of really some tough times, we saw like the community really rally for the first time. So I want to speak on and just run through some of the really exciting things that we saw our community do.
Yeah, like I'll tell you at that point it was probably one of the lowest times of my life. Like you mentioned, we were paying for all the lease and expenses at the old gym and the new mortgage and stuff at the new place, all the utilities at the new space. I was also living on my own for the first time around that time as well, and like not tons of revenue coming in. Like we had a good membership base, but you're not just raking in tons of money for all that. And I started to see like membership start to plateau and then decline. And, you know, there was a course of over a year probably that there's one person, maybe 2 people at 5 a.m. or 6:15 over and over. And then it starts to wear you down as an owner, you know? And I remember like my dad calling me into my office once and just saying, "Hey man, like what's going on? Like I can see, everybody can see like you're drained and you're out there and you're breaking down. Like what's happening?" And I just remember crying in front of my dad in my office and just hitting a breaking point. Like I believed that was it. Like we're going to fail. Like we're not going to make it. The money's gone. Like that's it. That's over, you know? And he kind of picked me up, helped me get back on my feet. And, you know, this goes into a little bit of my testimony as well. Like when you came home, we'd been dating for a little while at that time. And I was putting up a big front to everybody inside the gym the best I could, that everything was great. And I was happy and I was enthusiastic and I was excited about the building, but behind closed doors, I was just broken and depressed and sad and angry. And that night after dinner, when you were at the house, like you saw me like laying face down on the floor crying. And you asked me what's wrong, and I just like spilled it all to you, and you left and said, "I just want you to be happy." I remember at that point, I gave my life and my business to Christ. And I believe at that point, I also started caring more and more about the people inside the gym than I did about myself or the business or making it to the next stage.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, maybe that's also what really sparked people rallying around you, you know?
In my mind, that's the entire transformation of 184. It's a night and day difference of what the business and the community and the culture was like. It's also a 180-degree change of who I was into
what was to come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speechless.
There's no crying on the podcast.
I was like, hold on.
You know, and like,
give me a sec to regain myself. No, there's tough times, and that's like part of the growth, and just like always what you think back to of looking at Murph running by itself, or these bigger events that we've done, or classes that are just flowing so well and coaches just thriving. It's hard to not think back to like, wow, this is such beauty that came out of a really dark spot.
Yeah. I mean, I will say too, like, we're followers of Christ, and you know, we're not a faith-based business, and we're not pushing religion on anybody. And I said to myself, and I shared with other people, I am going to use my business and my life to serve God. And if it closes down, I will do that some other way. And when people come through the doors, it's not that you're met and hit in the face with Christianity or following God or religion or faith. But, you know, as a follower of Christ, I am called to love and care for people, all kinds of people. And that just so happens to be a great attitude and a great posture as a CrossFit coach and a business owner.
Yeah, absolutely. So getting kind of back on track here, like I said, I want to focus in on how the community really rallied around the business. So things I remembered were shirts coming out saying all for CrossFit 184. There was a golf scramble. There was a large garage sale. I think there was a benefit concert in the parking lot, right? You know, this is all things that people saw a need for.
Yeah.
And they said, I'm bought in. I want to be a part of this, and I want to see it flourish.
I mean, people can get frustrated and annoyed with CrossFit gyms specifically saying our community is different, or our culture. Like, what's different about CrossFit is the community. And I would say the same thing, like our community is unmatched. And when somebody says, well, that's what everybody says of it. Yeah, well, come look at this. You know, like when we're backs against the wall, we had members selling their stuff, literally selling their stuff.
They're like, here, take my things and sell it.
So that we could get into the new building.
Yeah.
You know, and at that point you realize like working out for an hour a day is such a small part of what we do at 184 and who we are. You know, it's like the friendships and the relationships and the lifestyle change and the commitment to one another and the care for one another that makes the difference.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's why I really wanted to hone in on it, because that's what also got us to occupancy day here at the new space. Do you remember what that vacation? I think I just validation. Do you remember what that workout was like, or what it was?
I do. Man, it's a hero workout. Is it hero workout Morrison 50-43
I do
2010?
remember. Yep.
Wall balls, box jumps, kettlebell swings. That was
we had
the very
no rig
first
at
workout.
the time.
There was no
rig,
there was
so.
no rig against the walls. There was turf down the center, down either side. It's probably freezing cold in there, but we thought it was awesome. It was exciting. You know, to get occupancy was such a long process. I remember at one point, like I needed to meet with the city engineer or the county engineer or some person to help me like get clear and get approval. And I couldn't get a hold of him through email or text message or phone call because I was just trying to have a conversation with the guy. And I remember for a week straight, I took my computer, my bag, and I went to the county office and I asked to speak to so-and-so. And they say, oh yeah, he's out right now, or he's in a meeting right now. And so I just sat there in a chair. I just worked there for hours on end until this guy came into the building. And then I stood up and grabbed him real quick.
No, there you go. The old work and grab. So after occupancy day, I remember really just like a bunch of good years going by. Like we were there, we were doing the thing. It felt like it was going really well. until that day in March in 2020. Does everybody?
COVID, when we got to play pickleball all day.
No, okay. No, but this was another time that I really saw the community rally together, right? And everybody has their own story with COVID, but first, again, small businesses, it was a very tough time. Like, what are you gonna do? You know, your back's against the wall again. We obviously had. I specifically remember. I think I was gonna coach that night. Classes had ran all day. And then you're told, like, hey, you're going to go home. We had members coming to the gym, picking up, a kettlebell, a dumbbell, or a plate. We're like, see you in a couple weeks. Like, we'll give you guys some workouts, and we'll still do this thing a little bit. But it had to change.
Yeah.
Right? It became longer and longer. And, we were hitting Zoom classes from our teeny tiny garage.
Shout out to Anita. That's when Anita joined.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Because she's our neighbor, or she wasn't.
No, she joined her daughter. So Anita's daughter, Carrie, was a member of ours, and she's like, "Hey, I gotta get on my Zoom class, do CrossFit." And he said, "Oh, I guess I'll do it too." And like she started doing the Zoom classes with us and joined as a CrossFit member in the middle of COVID.
I love that. But yeah, so Zoom classes, demo videos were done in our living room, like with our dog. But the super special moment. Or moments I felt were, as it continues on, other people are starting to feel the financial stress. And as it changed from March to April to May, we pushed out Stay for May. Do you remember this? I feel like I'm painting a picture for you a little bit.
People change their profile picture on Facebook and use hashtags.
Stay for May. And, members were reaching out, offering to pay for other people's memberships so that they could stay a part of it as they were hitting financial stresses themselves. And as people stayed for May, Murph comes around. And I just remember people's faces when they showed up to Murph.
Yeah.
We weren't really allowed to be out at the time. So we're like, okay, another pivot time. This is it. And we created the Murph Around Town. Yeah. You and I and maybe a couple other coaches, we went to Algier Park, set up rings all around the fence where the basketball court is and tennis courts. And that was the starting spot. Came out with the running route and stations around town where you'd hit your push-ups and squats. The middle part was here at the gym, just our outdoor rig. And I just remember the look on people's faces on like how relieved they felt to like actually see people face to face.
At that point they've been locked down in their own homes, isolated for a month and a half or so. And and Murph comes around. Murph's a big deal to a lot of people, and it's a big deal in the CrossFit community. And we had to figure out a way to do it. That was a lot of fun.
But focusing in a little bit, I mean, we really had people still buckle down. And again, this was another like big time where they're like, I am committed. Like I am going to make sure that we see this through. How did that make you feel personally to see so many people bought in?
Yeah. When I work out with a class and like I grab my barbell, I grab my spot or something like that, like every now and then somebody will make a comment or a joke and say, yeah, it's like you own the place or something, or, hey, you can use this, like it's your gym kind of thing. And in my mind, yes, we own the gym, but also like the way I see it is every single member is a part of it, owner of this building and of this space, and just the history of getting into the room. And then all through COVID, everything that everyone's done to step up and help each other out and keep our community strong. Like it just shows like it's a community gym and we're all part of this thing together.
Yeah, that's very true. So as we continued to get back into it, I was kind of looking at my notes and I was like, oh, wow, then there's like kind of this big gap between like getting back from COVID somewhere around 2021 to like 2026. But what I would like to talk a little bit about, and we can keep it brief, I don't know where we are in time, but really from 2022 to now, we've really been working on, again, just making the gym healthy. So what did we do in 2022?
So I mean, at that COVID time when we did the Stay for May, and then we did like the Back to the Gym challenge, this is really where we birth like the earned gear. And like once you accumulate so many workouts at the gym, you earn stickers and shaker bottles and book bags and all kinds of stuff. That's where that idea came from, is to motivate people after COVID to get back into the gym.
Yeah.
And then we just kept it, and we kept it going. But in 2022, is that when we joined Affiliate U?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, that decision was made pretty quickly. I mean, at that point, we were a pretty established gym. We were pretty successful kind of on paper, and I was pretty content as well, and I started to realize and I learned you can be content with what you have and also driven to grow at the same time. And I realized if we wanted to build a business that's going to last longer than I will, if we're going to build a business that is able to have, is able to support us as a family, not just financially, but we're able to spend time with our kids and also have our members being taken care of, we had to go to the next level. Because if we did not implement those systems and join Affiliate University in Best Hour, then something would have had to suffer. And I was not about to let our family suffer for the benefit of the gym. So at that point, the gym would become stagnant. It would slowly die.
Yeah. Which really, to paint the picture, it happens to so many affiliates and so many gyms because they're beaten down. They're worn out. It's not that they don't love people anymore. It's just that they don't have the help. They don't have the team behind them. And to get the team behind them, you have to have the systems behind you and all that kind of stuff. And that was really something we were missing because for so many years, we joke about, the first 3 years of the gym, we're like, what computer work did you do?
Yeah, right.
Not really anything.
Nothing.
You didn't know what to do because that's not a picture you had seen before. And again, being a small business, CrossFit doesn't hand you, here, this is exactly what you do on a silver platter. This was something we had to go find and decide, okay, who do we want to seek guidance from? Which I think is important because, you can also be a great or a good athlete, but to be great, you still have to be coached and you have to go back to the basics and refine some of those things. And so I wanted to just kind of shed light that over the last few years, we've spent a lot of time really refining ourselves. And again, we're seeing it flourish. We have a team behind us and really alongside of us that are all really doing the thing. We've said so many times that we're so grateful that we found it, each coach's niche.
Yeah, right.
Niche.
Working genius.
And they're really thriving in that area. And it's been really cool to see.
Yeah, I'll say too, we mentioned, if you don't build these businesses with systems and with the right people and with the right team, your business is going to become stagnant and then suffer and then close, so that you're spending time with your family. And the opposite's true as well. I've seen many owners in the past, pour everything into their business, everything into their affiliate, and say, I got to keep this thing going. I got to keep coaching. I got to keep running the business. And then their marriage suffers and their family life suffers. So it's a choice and a give, unless you start to build a legitimate business and get a team.
Yeah, get a team behind you. So that brings us today, though. So a couple questions I want to kind of close out with. What makes you the most proud when you look around the gym today?
The most proud. I'm really proud of the team that we have, and just the mindset and the eagerness to learn and to grow and to support one another. There's so many gyms that don't have great coaches and a great team, and people our coaches step up for each other and cover for one another and let each other have time off, and are just continuing to grow, get the next certification, the next education. And Emma just went to Mayhem all on her own to become a better coach. I'm most proud of the team, because without that team, nothing else is going to be what it is.
Yeah. What do you think a younger Zev would think if he walked into your gym today? What would the 23-year-old college wrestler think?
He'd be surprised and shocked with how big the gym is, how many people we have in our community. We have nearly 300 people at 184 now. It was just never a vision of mine. I never thought of getting to this point. So he'd be pretty surprised.
Nice. Yeah, I think he'd be surprised too. Also, I was just gonna say, what? This is always a fun fact. I just think it's fun. So, what does 184 stand for?
184 is the weight class I wrestled in college.
And what? Tell everybody what could have been the other.
The gym was going to be named Honey Badger CrossFit.
Where's the honey badger?
Honey Badgers was a big thing back 10 or 15 years ago, and me and my college buddies and wrestlers would watch Honey Badger documentaries all the time, and they were this meanest, wildest, most intelligent animal on planet. Like, that's gonna be the name of the gym. That's it. And then I think I told my teammates, it got denied, but I think I wasn't brave enough to actually submit it. And at that time, you couldn't have a name of a gym that somebody else had already. You couldn't have your name of your gym couldn't be associated with the location. So a lot of them was numbers. So 184 made sense for me.
Yeah. Sorry, I think that's so funny. What is some other? What impact do you hope that 184 continues to have on Marysville?
184 is a place in town, in Union County, in Marysville, that people can go to be cared for and to be known. It's so much more than working out, like we mentioned before. It's such a welcoming place, and that's not necessarily from all things that we've done. It's because we have great people in the gym, and those great people are doing great things.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have any last send-offs?
Man, I don't think I do. Besides, thank you for all your work that you do. So in 2018, when Aaron decided to stay home, like we were working like crazy, and Aaron jumped in and worked long hours, long weeks, and hard times, and got paid bing bong, as you would say.
Yes.
So Aaron did such an incredible job of making this place what it is, and like if she wasn't here, we would still have a piece of paper, handwritten signs, just taped on the wall. So.
No, thank you. Yeah, it's because there was just that something special at the gym that I knew, like, this is where I wanted to be. This is what I wanted to do. Even from cooking those meals in my tiny kitchen to help people out. And I'm not going to cry. So
we should do a part 2. We'll flip the script, and I'll interview you. There'll be lots of crying, lots of laughing and snorting. And...
No tissues are needed. Okay. Yes. So we are excited for the future of 184 still. Like we said, it feels like we're just getting started. We've really smoothed in and matured in who we are, and can't wait for the next 10 years to come.